Darn. Feels good to be back. Let's celebrate by acknowledging an anniversary of one of the Coen brothers' best movies, shall we? The Big Lebowski turns 25 years old in 2023. The avid followers of dudism, I'm sure, are looking at this and thinking like, oh my god, where has the time gone? Actually, hold on, let me rephrase that. Where is the time gone, man? This one was directed by Joel Cohen, who also wrote this movie along with his brother Ethan. It stars the one and only Jeff Bridges as the dude, who is mistaken for a millionaire who actually shares his namesake in Los Angeles. The dude refuses to go by his real name, Jeffrey Lebowski. He's a Los Angeles slacker and an avid bowler. And as a result of the mistaken identity, he is assaulted. He then learns that a millionaire, also named Jeffrey Lebowski, was the intended victim. See, the millionaire's trophy wife is kidnapped, and millionaire Lebowski commissions the dude to deliver the ransom to secure her release. Sounds simple enough. But as most comedies go, the plan goes awry when the dude's friend Walter Sobchak, played by John Goodman, schemes to keep the ransom money for the dude and himself. Now, over the years, this has become one of the most polarizing movies I think of all time. Certainly one of the most polarizing comedies to ever be put out there. Arguably the most polarizing movie the Coen brothers have ever put out into the open. There have been so many differing opinions and analyses of The Big Lebowski that it just like, it always fascinates me. So I try and revisit this movie every single year to see where certain people are coming from. But all I can think is, and if you've been with me for a while, you know I don't throw this term around a lot, I think The Big Lebowski just may be a masterpiece. I know. This is a movie that is riddled with a cliche plot. You've seen this a million times before, especially in the 90s, of a misunderstanding, mixed up identities, and just comedic hijinks following it. Gee, you've seen that so many times in cinema. And all these little subplots, a lot of them pretty big ones, they're all kind of commingling together episodically, and some of them aren't even really paid off. Matter of fact, when you reach the final frame of this movie, when Jeff Bridges delivers the iconic "Dude abides" line, some people might look at it and think, what the heck do you gain from this? First of all, the reason why I say this is a masterpiece in terms of comedy, I don't think I've ever laughed at a movie as much as I have The Big Lebowski. There are just so many scenes that I am just on the floor in stitches. Even though I've seen this movie many times, it does what every good comedy is supposed to do. Make you laugh. And I also feel like this movie is all tied together by Jeff Bridges' iconic performance as the dude. Not only because of the incredible poise and just utter calmness that this dude exudes, not only because of the incredible one-liners that are sprinkled in throughout this entire runtime. Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man. This guy is a pretty deceptive smartass. Some people who dislike The Big Lebowski may look at Jeff Bridges in this movie and be like, what redeeming qualities does this guy have? Because yeah, this is a pretty pathetic excuse for a human being. He's living pretty much out of a rat's asshole. People break into his house so freaking easily. How about the scene where he tries to basically lock the door by using a dining room chair, and it opens so freaking easily, and the dudes just beat him up anyway? But here's the trick with this movie, right? I feel like the whole dude character is put into this kind of as a foil to most characters that we've seen in cinema. And the Coen brothers are kind of writing him in a sense where you can still make a character that has already achieved all of his goals, albeit they're set to pretty low standards because, like I said, this is a pathetic human being, and this dude is pretty content with where he is in life. But seeing someone who's accomplished all of their goals already as the central character to a movie, and yet it's still so freaking engaging, that's an incredible feat and a half. And the key to what makes The Big Lebowski work so well isn't just all the characters surrounding Jeff Bridges, but it's all about Jeff Bridges' reactions to everything going on. Because he just finds this whole freaking situation utterly ridiculous. And we're right there along with him. There's so much compelling commentary in here about what makes a good man. And in a lot of senses, what makes a completely chaotic, unhinged man like John Goodman My freaking word. You want a toe? I can get you a toe. I'll get you one with nail polish. I can get you one later today. Listen, John Goodman just may be one of the greatest character actors alive, and this performance as Walter is probably the one that put him over the top. This guy is just so freaking out there and relentless in his performance. It is impossible to take your eyes off of John Goodman anytime you see him. Just because of his unpredictability, you are just on the edge of your seat, wondering what this guy is gonna say or do next. And a lot of the cases, it's just... I'm done. I'm done. John Goodman's a living legend, and I could honestly argue that this is his best performance. This is one of the best performances for a lot of these people. Steve Buscemi as Donnie, who always wants to fit in with the pair here, so freaking hilarious in this. You have Julianne Moore popping in as the dude's love interest in this film. Man, is she dynamite. God, even bit parts like Philip Seymour Hoffman as the assistant to this millionaire who insists on calling Jeff Lebowski the dude. And he's trying to differentiate the two Lebowskis by being respectful of the dude's wishes. But I think it's honestly the fact that the Big Lebowski feels like such a fever dream. The writing in this movie just feels like the Coen brothers were trying to throw all these situations at the wall. A lot of these are not really resolved by the end of this movie. Some of these are even forgotten about. And that's a big criticism a lot of people have towards The Big Lebowski, and saying that it's not really coherent as a narrative. But maybe that wasn't really the point. Maybe they were trying to satirize something here. I just couldn't help but be engaged by the excellent performances across the board. Perhaps the most memorable performance that Jeff Bridges has ever given. Well, not to mention, Roger Deakins' cinematography just, like, anytime you see that dude's name as the DP on any project, you know that you're gonna get some freaking awesome imagery. And this movie is directed and shot like it's some freaking acid trip. Like, you know how when you go to sleep and sometimes you can't exactly remember what you were dreaming about, but then when it does kind of click in your head and you remember, oh yeah, that was really freaking bizarre. I kind of want to dig more into that. Why was I dreaming about that? That's what this movie constantly does to me. And by the time the credits start rolling, I've had a few instances where I watched The Big Lebowski and I was like, what the hell just happened? But that's how the Coen brothers just mess with my head here. I always want to go back and revisit this thing every single year. Not just because of the mastery behind the camera and the mastery in front of the camera. Not just because of how entertaining all these situations actually are. But it's one of those movies that just needs to be examined for the next quarter century and the quarter century after that and the next quarter century. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have different conspiracy theories as to what this movie ultimately means. I think this is just a damn good time. The entertaining scenes are way too many to count. You have an excellent storyline in the bowling alley involving this rival bowler played by John Turturro. You have John Goodman in here basically fulfilling his duties as a Vietnam veteran, if you can call it duties, up to the point where he's almost kicked out of a cafe for basically saying that he has basic human rights. But there he is making an ass out of himself and yelling at his friend in the middle of this cafe, and like, how do you not kick that guy out nowadays? And not to mention, God, do I even talk about the fact that Steve Buscemi's character dies in this? Yeah, there's a flat-out shootout, and Donnie is actually killed off in that sequence. And that's paid off with a whole freaking joke at the funeral home where the dude and Walter have to go in, and they don't want to pay $180 for an urn. That is our most modestly priced receptacle. God damn it! Is there a Ralph's around here? The speech that John Goodman gives about Donnie is so freaking tear-jerking in a lot of cases, but then the joke is paid off when he actually pulls off the lid of that hot cocoa powder canister. It wasn't even an urn. That's what they were carrying the ashes in. It was just this ratchety, like... oh my god. And the fact that he actually like flicks all the ash out and none of it lands in the ocean. Most of it lands on the dude who is standing behind Walter. And again, Jeff Bridges' reaction is what makes that scene gold. I don't care what you say. The Big Lebowski is one of, if not the greatest comedies ever written. It's one of those movies that I constantly want to revisit over and over and over again just to get a handle on what the Coen brothers are doing. This is one of those great masterpieces that I'm sure you'll hear me talk about over and over. Call me crazy, but I'm going to give The Big Lebowski an A+. Man, 25 years has flown by so quickly for this feature. If you haven't seen it in a while, what the heck are you waiting on? Let me know what you think of The Big Lebowski down in the comments section below. What are some of your favorite scenes, moments, lines? Feel free to quote it all down there in the comments. I love discussing all things in movies and entertainment over here on the regular. If you're new, do consider becoming a subscriber and tap on that thumbs up as well, especially if you want to see more Oscar contenders on their anniversaries discussed like this. Got a few ideas in the pipeline before 2023 comes to a close. There's a lot of big anniversaries on movies that I have been waiting a while to talk about with you guys. Guys, y'all are the best. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Look forward to my reviews for the Barbenheimer double feature. I'll be seeing Barbie on Thursday night, Oppenheimer in IMAX. Oh, July. This is what I was waiting for right here. July 21st. It's gonna be a hell of a time at the movies, guys. So with all that being said, back talk commence.